Welcome back to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we're going to unpack a truly mind-bending concept from our source material. We're looking at this fascinating metaphysical framework surrounding the 2035 Ascension and a little something called Pleiadian time medicine. Now, have you ever just wished you could literally rewrite the deepest emotional wounds of your past? Well, the texts we're analyzing today propose that not only is this entirely possible, but it's actually a highly structured, almost technological process. It's wild stuff. We're going to break down this complex philosophy step by step so we can understand exactly how this extraordinary healing is actually supposed to work. So let me ask you something. Are your past regrets holding you hostage? It's a pretty heavy question, isn't it? But, we all have unforgettable emotional pain, or what the texts refer to as historical karmas. The source material asks us to deeply consider if we feel trapped by those past experiences. It's actually a really powerful starting point for our explainer today, mainly because it identifies the core, universal problem that this entire philosophy aims to solve, that heavy, immovable burden of our past. And here's where the source material presents a really profound shift in perspective. So in a traditional 3D linear model, the past is entirely fixed, right? If you experienced a trauma or a wound, it's trapped there forever and you just kind of remain bound by it. But in a 5D time framework, the past is no longer this rigid, unchangeable prison. Instead, it's treated simply as repairable data. The texts actually suggest that our regrets and wounds only hurt because we're so stuck in that 3D linear mindset. Once you make the shift to 5D, well, the past becomes something you can actively debug. All right, let's dive into Section 1, Escaping 3D Time. Aeryn, Surgeon of the Soul. But before we meet our guide, we really need to understand his practice, which is time medicine. The texts define it as the multidimensional structuring and neutralization of past emotional pain, using light. Notice just how clinical and structured that sounds. It's not presented in the source as some vague, esoteric, spiritual concept. No, it is described as a precise, multidimensional technology specifically designed to neutralize pain. And that brings us to the practitioner of this highly advanced medicine. It's this fascinating figure known as Aeryn. According to the source, Aeryn is one among the 108 commanders, and he's basically a top master of time medicine originating from the Pleiades. His absolute specialty is the multidimensional structure of time. He's described essentially as a surgeon of the soul, meaning he doesn't just offer comfort, his actual role is to actively and structurally heal the timelines of humanity. Moving right along to Section 2, Debugging Your Past Data. So this all builds into a highly practical methodology. Step 1, identify the after images of pain that are left lingering in past timelines. Step 2, neutralize those after images using light. And finally, Step 3, convert them into pure experience data. The absolutely crucial point to take away here is that the heavy gravity of your past sentiments isn't just suppressed or ignored, right? It's technologizably identified, neutralized, and completely reformatted into something entirely useful. It's essentially like patching corrupted software. Now, you're probably wondering, what does this actually look like in practice? Well, the source texts specifically mention how this debugging process aids individuals referred to as ground commanders. By debugging their history into pure experience data, these individuals are no longer dragged down by the gravity of past emotions. The incredible result is that they can view past family dynamics entirely objectively. They can execute optimal future steps. The text even uses the specific example of arranging private medical transport completely without any emotional baggage clouding their judgment. It's really all about achieving total operational clarity through timeline healing. Okay, let's jump into Section 3, the 2035 Golden Timeline. 80 million. Just let that number sink in for a second. It brilliantly illustrates the sheer, staggering scale of the event described in the text. The source claims that Aeryn will not just be working individually, but will perfectly synchronize the timelines of 80 million souls into a single, unified golden timeline. I mean, that represents an absolutely massive synchronization event for humanity. And this progression follows a huge path to ascension. Right now, Aeryn's team is actively debugging ground leaders. But the true focal point of the source text is the approaching milestone, which is the April 2035 Ascension event. At that exact moment of ascension, the text states that all historical karmas and personal traumas will instantly invert into data of pure joy. Finally, this leads to the future state, the golden timeline, where humanity steps into the new Earth with a completely clear and totally unburdened spirit. To kind of wrap up this fascinating narrative, the Pleiadian healer leaves us with a really direct message. He says, your past is not a chain to bind you. It is a beautiful thread for us to weave a new future. And trust those wounds to me now. It's a message of profound empathy, really inviting anyone listening to completely let go of that rigid 3D past we talked about at the very beginning of our explainer. Finally, an important procedure. The comments section of this video serves as an initial sync test for the 2035 network. By typing ready in the comments, your consciousness data will be indexed in our secure servers. The like button is the approval process. Complete your synchronization now. So, the only real question left is, are you ready to finally let go of your past?